times and places, they may change, but one thing stays the same. The stories that they tell about going through hell. If you think they wouldn't do it all over again, well, you just don't know them. The memories that they own of the ones who didn't make it home, yeah, sure do miss them, but they keep them all living in the stories that they tell.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Sorry about that, Robert. I'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Contagion Effect Show, brought to you by the good people of Reese Across America and Reese Across America Radio. We're not going to get shot out of a cannon that fast. Hey, welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages. This is a family-friendly show. We're also heard across this great nation, around the world, by our friends. The Contagion Effect Show can also be heard on Reese Across America Radio on Truckin' Tuesdays at 11 p.m. Eastern. You can find Reese Across America Radio on the iHeart app, the Odyssey app, and the TuneIn app. Search the word Reese. Yes, you can. Remember, this is the season. The problem with this is this. Here's the problem with this. It's just the season. This should be a year-round organizational program. This is something that we should always be doing, because Reese Across America is once again providing Reese that we get to go out to our national cemeteries for, and we are going to be the Contagion Effect Show and all of its friends and family. We're going to be out at Santanella, out at the San Joaquin National Cemetery on December 16th. We will be out there bright and early, 8 o'clock, not so early as some people. I'm a truck driver, so I do get up a little bit earlier than that, but 8 o'clock is pretty early for a Saturday morning. Go out there. We're going to be out there. If you would like to donate, you can donate $17 for a wreath that we will be placing out there for a veteran. It can be a family member. You can let us know give us the first name and the last name. We'll even look up the plot number. If you go to this link right here, this is the ticker link right here. So Reese Across America, links are going to be in our bio. Don't you worry about that. Don't fret your little face, because the link will be in the bio. And what it's going to do is it's going to go right to the Contagion Effect page. That's right. That is right, people. We have Reese Across America, reaseacrossamerica.org/pages/Contagion Effect. There's a little button over there. You can donate $17. We will go out and we will absolutely place Reese. We're shooting for about 150. Shooting for about 150 Reese this year. Last year. Hi, Nana. What's up, Nana? Hi, Mama. Welcome. Thanks for joining. We are a little bit early. This is a little odd. We've already got Scotty Hastings out of the way. Thank you, Scotty Hastings, for also donating your song to our show. We love you, brother. And go check out. Well, go check out. Why don't we just listen to it? If I had it plugged up, I would have already had it going. But remember, go check out Scotty Hastings music. I have it right here. I really do. I swear I do. I absolutely do. I promise you. ScottyHastingsmusic.com. He has a great new song out there. Remember, go check out Operation Encore. That is one of the organizations that a lot of our veterans use to help themselves and to help others deal with whatever issue. I don't want to say PTS. I don't want to say it because not everyone has PTS, but it's helping them get together, helping them come together, singer-songwriters. They have some beautiful music. If you went to Hero Stock, you had the privilege of meeting a bunch of veterans that are musicians. So do yourself a favor and go get some. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We got you, Nana. We got you, Nana. We got you. But first and foremost, what I would like to hear, since we already got Scotty Hastings out of the way, let's listen to Miller Mobile Tax Service. Thanks for supporting the Contagion Effect Show. Get in there now, because I'm telling you, I've got some friends and they're at the end of February already. So go check out Miller Mobile Tax Service, and he's coming up right now.
Do you dread having to do your taxes? Does the mere thought of it make your head spin? Miller's Mobile Tax Service is here for you. We will handle your individual or business taxes. We will come to you to prepare your taxes. We are skilled, professional, and ready to get started for you. Call 209-678-8515.
Thank you. Thank you, my partner. Mike will always be my partner in crime. He helped us get up off the ground. He's doing some good things. Just talking to him this afternoon. Yeah. Dude, go check out Nama's Kitchen on Instagram, Facebook, and all that good stuff. If you're local in the Houston area, they have a little go-kart now. It's not a go-kart. It's actually a golf cart, but they will deliver. So go check that out. I have one more clip that I'm going to hold off on a bit. Obviously, you guys can tell I'm excited. I'm excited because guess what? I'm excited because I got another book. I got another book to the collection. I got a book I'm super excited for. Oh, let's talk about that real quick. Remember, if you want to go and check out, you want to go to American Veterans First in Riverbank, and I'm sure you could get them at any of them. This is the Positive Promotions out of New York. They posted these up, suicide prevention in the military. Pick one up. There's a bunch of literature inside here. There's a bunch of different programs that you can help. There's stress management techniques. There's resources for suicide intervention. Get it. I read it quite often, to be honest with you, because there's always something in there that I may have forgotten. So go do yourself a favor. Check that out, because somebody's going to hit you up one day, because we support our veterans and law enforcement and LEOs and everything. So you got to know you can't just BS people the whole time. And I apologize on the comments, people. I'm what's up? Joe Allen, Christy. I love you, man. Thank you for the support, my friend. Tonto, I know. No, it's totally on me. We've had our guest booked out since August, and then something came up later tonight for me, so I didn't want to cancel it, but we're just like, hey, let's get it as early as we can. And I kind of like 4 o'clock, to be honest with you. It's pretty cool. Tonto, thank you guys. Hey, Tonto, I heard you're getting a little present in the mail. Remember, go to Hero Stock, people. Go to Hero Stock. The new calendar is out, and yours truly may have made the cover. No, not the cover. Just kidding. Good to see you too, buddy. Not the cover, but we are January with my big old face right here and all the boys and girls behind us. We're on 2 months. 2 months. We've got January and we have March. I'm not complaining about it, because I don't think we were going to get anything. Absolutely, Joe. Hey, Nana, giving the love. Absolutely. Hey, so real quick, I've got one more clip I need to play. And that goes back to war. Remember, I'm kind of pushing the Wreaths Across America. Again, you can listen to us on Trucker Tuesday. You can go and we need to get the wreaths. And we should have been pounding this all year long, but we're pounding it now. So one more clip, and then we're going to get to our guests.
Remember.
Honor. Teach.
Give the gift of remembrance. Sponsor a $17 Veterans Wreath for an American hero. Learn more at wreathsacrossamerica.org.
Yep, check that out. To be honest with you, I haven't watched the whole show. I haven't watched that whole clip. And there's going to be a lot of that on Saturday. Remember, December 16th. There's going to be a link that we have. But yeah, go check it out. That's the one for us being Contagion Effect. So it'll be in the bio. It's all over my Facebook and all over the YouTube and all that good stuff. So But check this out. I'm gonna start a little bit different, and I'm sure our guests won't mind starting it this way. But I came across the clip, and I'm gonna introduce him this way. I'm gonna introduce him this way, and not that way because I got to get this up there first. So bear with me, people. Y'all know I'm a little computer illiterate, but we're getting there, right? So give me a second. We're gonna play this clip for him. Tells you a little bit about our guest today. Ladies and gentlemen, oh shoot, that was very anticlimactic. Ladies and gentlemen, Robert Bartlett, thank you for joining the Contagion Effect show today.
Happy to be with you.
I tell you what, watching and looking and reading some snippets of your book, which, by the way, I can only read what was on the site, right? And you can go to Amazon. Hey, go to Amazon, you guys, and click on the link. You can order it before it'll get to you before Christmas. Literally, I just got this package today, and I had to open it up, and there it is, right there, peoples. There it is. And I cannot wait. I can't wait to dive into this, right? This is amazing. It's such, I mean, I'm going to let you describe it, but it's riveting just from what I've got to listen to on the site, right? So again, I want to back up a bit. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. Where did Robin come from? Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in a military family. My grandfather went to West Point. My father went to West Point. My brother went to West Point. And I turned down an appointment to West Point because I said, you know what? After 13 elementary and middle schools and 4 high schools, I have had enough.
Wow.
I have had enough.
So 4 high schools?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
4
so
high schools.
Basically every year was a different high school?
We moved every 2 to 3 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Sometimes twice in the same year.
Yeah. Wow. That is crazy. So to say you were born into it that kind of goes without saying, right? I mean,
well, answered the phone at home. Colonel Bartlett's quarters. May I help you, sir? That's how you answered the phone at home. And we took service to our country. Those words were very significant in our family. Our family was in the service to our country. And that has greater meaning for us, I think, than what many people typically think of.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I started in college, it was the height. It was building up to the height of the Vietnam War. And many of my classmates, myself included, during the summer months got reclassified. And I said, well, all my family have been officers, and there's no way I could possibly serve other than being an officer. So I went into the ROTC program, and it was just really second nature to me.
Growing up, so I mean, like you said, it's a salute to, I hate to say a salute to service, but it was literally like your family genetics and the generational uprising, right? Like that's basically what the Bartlett family, what the Bartlett family was about.
There was an expectation that I would, quote, serve my obligation and as an officer. Now there was a little bit of variability, never the Navy, of course. That was unheard of. But my father, at the end of World War II, was a civil engineer, and they were going to drop him down from a major down to a first lieutenant. But Air Force needed engineers, and his specialty was concrete. And they said, we need somebody to go around all these NATO airfields and inspect the landing zones. So they said, if you come fly with us, we'll make you lieutenant colonel. And there was no question there. See, where do I buy my uniform? So
Right,
I
right.
could have been I could have gone Air Force, but pretty much Army was the programmed direction for me.
So you gave up the hotels and the buffet spread for the grunts and the people who get it done. Is that's what I've heard. That's what I've heard. To be honest, I'm not a veteran. My dad was a veteran. He was in the USS Cleveland, LPD, and he took his life about 5 years ago. So that's kind of like our program, right? That's kind of like what we do. But I mean, yeah, I mean, you jumped right in and said, hey, like let's get stuff done.
Well, I graduated and was commissioned as a second lieutenant on the same day. I
Boom.
was commissioned in the morning
Wow.
and graduated from college on that afternoon. And then at the time, I really had no idea what I wanted to do. I was a distinguished military graduate from ROTC. I could have had my
Right.
choice of pretty much any branch I wanted to go in. But, at the ripe age of 21, being brilliant as I was, knowing everything there was to know, because after all, I had a college degree, right? So I decided I would challenge myself with the toughest thing that I could think of. So I volunteered for airborne, ranger, infantry, and airborne and ranger, and I got everything I asked for, plus assignment to the famous 82nd Airborne Division.
Yeah, I mean, literally, it's one of those things where, and I don't make light of what has happened in the past. Is I read your bio and I read, just on your page here, if you go to Robin Bartlett author.com, which we have a link in there, and it feels just like it feels like a movie, except it's your real life, right? I mean, at 22 years old, you're a first lieutenant in the 1st Cavalry Division. Like that, I mean, that's what people work up to that, right? Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
There it is.
Yeah.
I'm on the wrong.
Yeah, the whole opposite. Yeah, that is, I mean, listen, that is just awesome. But normally, and I'm not saying you're abnormal or weird or anything like that. Normally, this is something that people have to work up to for a few years, right? And now again, you did this through college, but that's something that just doesn't happen once you graduate, right?
That's correct. But there were so many officers. This is at the height of the Vietnam War,
Right.
and there had been so many officer casualties as a result of the Tet Offensive of 1968 that promotions were very, very rapid. And I moved from second lieutenant to first lieutenant after 1 year. I was commissioned as a first lieutenant on the day that I joined the 1st Cav Division.
That is awesome. That is, so are there, well, I tend to jump around, right? Again, I'm a truck driver by trade. This is something I get to do. And it's amazing the people that we get to talk to. I have a friend over at the We P3 project, the People's Patriot Project, and they always talk about we know why we get to do this, right? And I want to understand and I want to share your story so more people and everyone get to hear about why you do what you do or did and are continue to do that you continue to do. I get a little tongue tied and my brain doesn't work quite as fast as it used to. So, but it's ironic. One of the words I've trained was ironic because your story is it's just one of those stories. You have a clip on your page about the trail, right? I know I'm bouncing around a little bit, but can you tell me a little bit about that, the story behind the trail? I know you have a clip on your page, but I'd like to hear it from you.
So an officer typically spent 6 to 7 months in the field. I was a combat infantry platoon leader with the 1st Cav. I joined A Company, 1st Battalion, 1st Cav Regiment, and I spent about 7 months as a grunt, along with leading anywhere from 28 to 32 men, predominantly within I Corps, which is at the northernmost section of South Vietnam. Okay. And on the East Coast, you had the Gulf of Tonkin, so the terrain there was sand and tumbleweed, no overhead cover. But we spent most of our time on the western side of I Corps, which was by the Laotian border in 3 Canopy Jungle. So we did tremendous amount of hacking our way through jungle terrain, searching for enemy soldiers, mostly North Vietnamese troops, attempting to infiltrate across the Ho Chi Minh Trail through Laos into South Vietnam. So
Wow.
that experience led me to think about walking point and walking a trail and what it was like. And I tried my degree was in comparative literature. So I've always done a lot of writing. Writing has come easily for me.
Right. Right.
And I tried to describe what it was like to walk point, meaning the very first, being the very first man in line. Now, as an officer, I wasn't supposed to walk point, and I typically would walk fourth in line. A platoon leader's had about a 90-day life expectancy in Vietnam. He was always a target, not because you had flashy bars on your uniform. We were all dressed the same. The only way you could tell I was an officer was on my helmet liner. I had written LT Bartlett. That was it. I had no patches, no rank insignia. We didn't even call each other. I mean, no one called me sir. My name was 1-6. First platoon leader being 1 and 6 being the leader. So that's how I was addressed. And everybody either had a nickname or a number. And but I still was a target. Why? Because in my thigh pocket I had this great big map that I was pulling out periodically, looking at my compass, and my radio operator was standing within arm's reach of me, so that I could get on the radio if I needed to. Sometimes I had him walk in front of me, which he didn't like, and the man in front of him didn't like either.
Well, I mean, you're leading you're leading the charge. So you're leading the cavalry, you know? So going back to some of that, like, was there a time where you were like, didn't want to say nothing, but like, hey man, like, I want to go this way, but I'm kind of like, did you ever kind of change direction whenever you were out there? Like, did you make the decision like, hey, the gut feeling kind of hit me and I'm like,
So I think, as I mentioned before, a platoon leader had a 90-day life expectancy.
oh wow.
And there were 4 officers, 3 other officers and myself who went in to see the battalion commander on the day that we reported in to our battalion. And we went in alphabetical order. So I got assigned to A company, and
Yeah.
2 to B and 1 to C. I was the only one to complete his tour. The other 3 officers were either killed or wounded. Why?
Wow.
And I think the answer is there were 3 reasons. I've been thinking about this a lot, but there were 3 reasons why I think I was able to survive. Now, I was wounded twice, but I still made it through just okay. Wasn't the wounds were not terribly serious. But the first reason was when I met my platoon sergeant and squad leaders. I sat down with them and I said, listen, you guys have been in the field longer than I have. You know more about it. I'm still going to be in charge, but I want you to tell me if you think I'm doing something wrong,
Right.
and I want to listen to what you have to say. I won't always agree, but I want you to feel confident and comfortable that you can talk to me.
Yeah.
Number 2 is I tried very, very hard not to do stupid stuff. Now that may sound really funny,
It sounds,
but
yeah.
I'm
Sure you get the,
I had another officer friend of mine who had been in the 82nd with me, and we had lots and lots and lots of helicopters. And so
right.
we were constantly bringing these helicopters into a landing zone to land. And this officer brought the helicopter in while standing on a mound.
Mm.
Not a good idea. And he was just decapitated. It was so silly. It was stupid stuff. And then third, and this really gets to your question, when my point man had an uneasy feeling about the area that we were walking into,
Yeah.
and that would happen quite frequently. I mean, sometimes there would be no birds chirping, sometimes no monkeys
Mm.
screeching, or sometimes it was just a sixth sense that they would had. You had to trust your point man and the cover man. And if they felt bad about it, I fired artillery in front of our position that we were going to walk through. This is called reconnaissance by fire.
Okay.
And I shot a lot of artillery. In fact, I shot so much artillery that they put a budget on me. They got to know my call sign.
Oh,
My
really?
call sign was Foggy Day 16. They knew me because I shot so much artillery, and they put a budget on me of 25 rounds. But that was enough. And
Foggy
so
Day
my men,
16.
when they walked through this area where they felt a little uncomfortable, it
Made the
gave them a
call.
greater sense of security.
Yeah, and going back to again, I'm not military, so I always like to ask the civilian question: what did that mean? What did it mean whenever the birds weren't chirping and the monkeys weren't screeching?
Well, it could mean that there was an ambush up ahead.
Okay,
It
like
could
they've already
mean-
like they came in and everyone's already gone and they're just hunkered down waiting.
That could be
Right.
could be an ambush. It could be booby traps. I mean, it could be anything. And
Yeah.
again, sometimes it was just a sixth sense, but you
Yeah.
had to trust your men, and your men had to trust you. And the fact that I would fire this artillery out in front of our position and blow away anything that was several hundred meters to our front gave them a greater sense of security, and they appreciated it. And frankly, I did too.
Yeah, I'm gonna periodically pop up some pictures here. There's one, it's a forward observer. And again, you can go to Robin Bartlett author.com.
Yes, that
Can
was
you
our
describe-
FO.
Okay. So
He was
you
an
guys are
artillery
just-
officer, but he was a grunt just like us.
Okay. And basically that's the line of communication. There was no email, there wasn't text message, there wasn't none of that fun. I
No
get it.
email, no
And of
GPS.
course, 1968, I get it, like 68 and 69. But if you look at, I mean, it's right there on the ground. You guys are just hunkered down, right? And it's one of those pictures where you can see the terrain, and there'll be some. I'll post a little bit more, and you see the terrain. Vietnam. I've already messed this whole interview up because I told myself, "Welcome home, welcome home." Anytime I see someone with a Vietnam, hey, I tell them, "Hey, welcome home, thank you." Because
So, I mean, Vietnam veterans today are walking in the boots of our World War II and Korean veterans. They're
Correct.
getting pretty old these days. I guess World War II vets
job.
are all 99, 100 years old.
yeah,
I had one that was supposed to come to a meeting that as our guest speaker, and unfortunately he passed away before he could come. So we're taking over their positions as veterans, as the most common veterans that you would see.
yeah,
And the common statement is thank you for your service. And
Yeah.
there's absolutely nothing wrong with saying thank you for your service, but Vietnam veterans generally were not welcomed home upon return to the United States.
yeah.
So if you want to have an impact, a real impact on a Vietnam veteran, you try saying welcome home instead of thank you for your service,
Yeah.
and watch the result.
Yeah. Just to give you a little heads up, I don't know if you got to watch any of our show before. We're a couple hours early, but we have a great army behind. We have a great group of people. I don't want to leave out the Marines because they get a little, their pants get a little itchy. We have a great army behind us. The contagion effect has reached across the entire world, and we have some great shows. Square Table Degenerates is a gentleman named Joey. He's out of the great state of Cleveland, Ohio. He has a cool little show. I said it. I did a Mikey. He's got a cool show that he gets a bunch of actors. He gets anyone that's cool, that's fun to be with. He loves to have the conversations. Tonto is jumping on. Yeah. He's actually Tonto's actually rides bulls, and he's in a veteran group, and they go around and warriors and rodeos. Thank you. My mind clicked in. Warriors and rodeos, and he lives up in Nebraska, up in Alaska. I almost said Nebraska, because like 80% of the people that we've been on are from Nebraska. But there's 5 or 6 different podcasts that'll jump on periodically. So I just want to give you a little rundown. We didn't get to go over it before the show, so again, I'm gonna jump in and out as we go. And you were saying that, well, we had talked about the different landscape, right? Sorry. So he's coming to see Cleveland. He's down in LA. I'm in California. So Joey's coming out. Yeah, 123 to park at SoFi Stadium. It's not cheap down there in LA, bro. You should have hit up Brian. You should have hit up Every Day's a Saturday podcast. He probably would have let you park in his garage. But getting back to our guest, Robin Bartlett, author.com. Go check it out. He's got some great stories. Whoever does your website, amazing job. A great website. I always like to give a props on that. And it's very well put together, very thought out. And I love this one here, even though it says 1st Cavalry Helicopter Combat Assault Casualty with the open door here. Let me pull this guy up here.
That was the general idea behind the 1st Cav. It was an air mobile concept, and that simply meant that you brought fresh fighting troops to the battle by helicopter as opposed to having them walk to the battle. And so, we made lots of helicopter combat assaults. I made more than 50 helicopter combat assaults.
I got you, JD. We got you. So kind of like the Vietnam Uber.
That's correct.
Kind of like I'm again, if you know anything about our shows, I say we because my partner Mike, he's dropped off for a while, and so it's just me. But we're more of a comedy. We don't get political. We don't get to talk about all the dynamics that way. And for me, it's a comic relief type of thing, right? But it's a serious conversation, and it's one that we talk to because we talk about veteran suicide. We talk about PTSD and stuff like that. So please don't take it any way other than just being funny and that way. You have a couple topics that you had, and you had. I'm jumping down to number 2. Your leadership. What it means to be a grunt, infantry, and the challenges of leading young men in combat. Over the course of your career, can you put a number on? Oh, sorry. Let me go this one real quick. Actually, no. I'm going to stop that one. Hold on, Joey. I'm going to ask my question first because it's my show. Can you put a number on how many people you have led over the years?
So in Vietnam, my platoon averaged between 22 and 28 to 32 men. They were 90% draftees. I was the second oldest man in the platoon at the age of 22. The oldest was 24. Jeez. My platoon sergeant was supposed to be the most experienced man in the unit. Usually the platoon sergeant has about 10 years of experience. Mine had gone through a training program called, typically was called the Instant NCO program at Fort Benning, Georgia.
Okay.
And he came out as a platoon sergeant. He had his 19th birthday in Vietnam. So wow. He and I had I went through Ranger School and Infantry Basic and Airborne School. So he and I had about the same amount of prior training.
Wow.
So that was my experience in Vietnam. When I went to my next duty station, I had been promoted to captain, and I was placed in charge of a headquarters company. And this is the company that supports the line infantry units. And they have all the 2.5-ton trucks, the cooks, right. the ambulances, the armored personnel carriers and recovery vehicles. And there I had wheels, right? 250 men reporting to me as a 24-year-old captain.
Wow. And I don't want to offend anyone, but a 24-year-old captain in Vietnam is not the same as a 24-year-old captain nowadays, right? I'm going to get so much crap out of this.
Again,
I just feel it's a whole different age, right? It's a whole different time.
It was a whole different world. Time. When I joined my unit after Vietnam, I was still a regular Army officer. So my next assignment after Vietnam was, you ready for this? Fairbanks, Alaska. And I was the first captain to come into that unit in 2 years. Wow. They had no other junior officers because they were all in Vietnam. We were all in Vietnam. So we were the first returnees from Vietnam. And I was promoted after 2 years to captain. Now, today, no, it's a much longer promotion cycle.
So Joey said, dude, I was a 37-year-old master sergeant in the Air Guard and only had 2 people in me. Is that you and who else? You and your dog, or you and someone else, Joey? It was probably. I do want to get back to Joey's question. He said, in Robin's opinion, how realistic was apocalyptic? Oh yeah, easy for me to say. Apocalyptic now in terms of the helicopter scenes.
That's interesting because I don't think the movie itself was realistic at all, but I do think that the helicopter scenes were very realistic.
Wow.
Helicopter combat assault. You showed a picture before what one of those
Yes.
looked like before. One of those looked like, and frankly, the good side of a helicopter combat assault was the fact you got to cool off. It was the only time you actually got to cool off. But then, as you got closer to your landing zone, it became a much different story. And if my platoon was leading the assault, that meant I was on the first bird. And you saw a picture there just a second ago of jumping off. The men wanted to get off that first helicopter. That's the picture. They wanted off that first bird just as fast as possible because it would be a target if any enemy survived both the artillery preparation of the landing zone and the Cobra helicopters that would come in and spray rockets and minigun fire to support the landing.
Wow. Wow.
And of course, those men, when they jumped, they had packs on their backs, and that would often cause them,
right?
Yeah,
well, there was that picture there. Yeah, let me get to that the mud one because, I mean, this copter is I mean, you're talking deep.
That's actually an auto-rotated helicopter that crashed. I was on a helicopter that crashed, and in that particular case, the skids are designed to actually split to cushion the landing, and then the pilots are trained to do an auto rotate. Of course, I didn't know what the word auto rotate meant, and I thought we were all going to die.
Yeah, that's awesome. Brian Roof, thank you, sir. Just talked about you, and probably could have made some money on the SoFi game this weekend. Joey just paid for $123 for parking. Brian Roof came up last week. He's from Southern California. We're from Central Northern California. Every day is a Saturday podcast. He also does some stuff on Gunroom Radio, and he has a Wacky Wednesday. Good dude. And again, I told you we got to take it slow for the Marines because it's just the Marines. That's how it is. JD, yeah, absolutely. Get on, Jeremy. You need to get a hold of Brian. He's getting prepped for his season 2. I think he said he's about a couple weeks into January already. So yeah, go check that out. Nevada. Okay. All right. Cool. Check it out. Tim, what's happening? Thanks for joining. Always love hearing Vietnam veterans talk the commonalities of warriors' mentality in different wars and different times of race. And again, like I said, I don't want to disrespect nobody because you guys signed the line. I didn't. And I want to give the utmost respect. And Vietnam is one of the wars that we know it was horrible when you guys came back, and the American transitioned at that time. It went from the super patriotic to the outward forward thinking people, and now it's it is what it is. Again, we don't talk about politics very much on the show. That's my 30 seconds I get. Contractor in Iraq who is a Vietnam vet. Wow.
I wanted to mention that after 7 months in the field as a grunt, I was transitioning to a staff job. And my secondary specialty was as the S1 or personnel officer of the battalion. And when I first came into the battalion, the S1 said to me, well, if you survive your field tour, well, you're going to be coming out of the field about the time I'm leaving. We'll make you the S1. And that's what happened. And I was understudying him for about 2 days. And then on the morning of the 3rd, he came to me and said, did you apply for a job at division headquarters? And I said, no. And he said, well, I've got orders here for you to report for an interview at the 14th MHD. And I said, oh, that's interesting. What's the 14th MHD? He said, I don't know. Of course, I'm making this clean. We never just said, I don't know. You know what we said.
I'm
right?
not sure what you're talking about, sir.
How right. So he said, get on a helicopter, go to division headquarters and find out, have this interview, find out what they want. So I land at Camp Evans in I Corps, which is the division forward at that time. and I start asking around, do you know where the 14th MHD? I didn't know what the 14th
Yeah.
MHD was. And finally I found a soldier. He said, well, I think it's down that road about a mile. So I'm walking down this road and I come to this office tent with a sign out front that says 14th Military History Detachment. Motto, you fight it, we write it. And I was interviewed by a captain, and
was
I looked around this office tent and I saw cots and a refrigerator and a television set, and in the back they had a shower. And I was offered the job and I took it.
Awesome.
And our job was to write a quarterly lessons learned report where each of the battalions would send in their operational activities and lessons learned that they had happened over the past quarter. And then periodically, the division G3, that's the operations officer, if the CAV was involved in a particularly substantial battle with a lot of casualties, would send me out to the field to interview those soldiers who were still alive, and talk with the company commander, platoon leaders if they were around, platoon sergeants. We'd take pictures, draw maps, and try to piece together. And most of these battles occurred at night. The NVA were superior night fighters to Americans, and they always attacked at night, never during the day, because they knew during the day we always had superior resources we could bring to bear. But at night, they were superior night fighters than we were. So it became extremely difficult to understand what happened. And our job was to interview the combatants who were not killed or wounded, and to try to piece together what had happened, which is the second half of the title of my book, And Writing History.
Ooh. So a new one. Got another one coming out. That's awesome. Let's see. One more. Yep. Connecting the dots. I have a couple questions that I have for you. They were made offline. And I don't even know if we probably already covered it. I love how the chronological order happens normally. And thanks for being on the show, by the way. Were you exceptional at one skill? That was very broad, but were you exceptional? You kind of touched about, writing and leadership and being advanced, just getting into the military, and taking your spot, right? So were you exceptional at one in particular skill?
Well, I do want to mention that Ranger School was the best training that any infantry officer could have. And I went through Ranger School with the graduating West Point class, which stuck together. And I almost failed that course because they had their own tight little clique. And fortunately, I came down with bronchial pneumonia and I got recycled. And then I was in the class of artillery officers, and they were a little more low key than the infantry officers out of West Point. And plus I'd had experience of a week or two in the program. I joined them I rejoined the Ranger School in the mountain phase. So I knew when to volunteer and when not to volunteer. So I became the expert. But in answer to your question, yeah, my secondary specialty was as the personnel officer and writing. And that's always been my expertise. This is the first book I've really written. I did write a professional book. Yeah, I did write I was raising a family, I had kids and a wife, and you don't have a lot of free time to sit there and write.
Right.
I actually wrote this book. I had a job that took me on long airplane flights, and that's when I wrote this book. I whip out my laptop, and as long as it wasn't too bumpy, I'd work on a chapter.
I want to play a clip. You just talked about military and the mountain. I want to play this, and I hope it comes across good, because I don't want to be that guy that shows things that can't see. So I want to play this here. Um,
I was a combat infantry platoon leader engaged in helicopter combat assaults, search and destroy missions, and firefights with the 1st Cav Division Air Mobile at the height of the Vietnam War from 1968 to 1969. I was assigned as the 1st platoon leader, 1st Battalion, 5th Cavalry Regiment. I spent 7 months in the field leading my platoon of 28 to 32 men. At 22, I was the 2nd oldest man in my unit. We conducted search and destroy missions in I Corps, parallel to the DMZ, from the Gulf of Tonkin on the east to the Laotian border on the west. The terrain was a mix of sand and tumbleweed to 3-canopy jungle, dictating the tactics and formations we used. The Cav had more helicopters than all other divisions in Vietnam combined. The air mobile concept was originated during the Vietnam War and was designed to bring fresh fighting forces to the battlefield by helicopter assault. My unit also received priority support from artillery, Cobra helicopter gunships, and medevac during a firefight.
I don't want everyone to miss out on this. So we need full support. We need full support on this to go. And Christmas is coming up. It's one of those things. It's an easy read, people. It's a super easy read.
I worked really hard on that. I had a wonderful proofreader who was a college classmate of mine, and it was a woman, and she caught every misspelled word, every misplaced comma, and she would ask a whole bunch of WTF questions along the way. And I figured if she didn't understand what I was talking about, I needed to rewrite it.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where, I've never written a book, so I'm assuming it's kind of like, hey, this is my life. I need someone to write it. I can write it down, but I need someone to figure it out. Does that make sense? I know what I need to say. Like for me, I know what I need to say and I know how I want to say it. It's just the writing out part, I think I'm excited. I'm excited to jump into my book. Normally I do audiobook just because I drive. And so, I'm driving for, 8 of my 10 hours a day. But I'm going on vacation this week. So I want to thank you for giving me something to read right along with all of our other veterans that we have here. Chris Whittemore, Sarah to Triumph, I'm getting a collection. I'm excited. I'm 49 years old. I'm having my first granddaughter at the end of January. I'm getting a library. I'm getting a veteran written library. And I think that is just freaking cool. Was that? Yeah.
Well,
you need so with great
the book is available on Amazon, but if you come to my website, I'm selling it for $19.95, autographed and free shipping. So I'm undercutting Amazon if you want a good deal.
Well, and after you had posted that on your site, and I was like, yeah, I didn't go there.
Well, if you'd asked me, I would have sent you a complimentary copy.
I appreciate it, and that is awesome. And we don't make any money here. We spend more money than we bring in, right? I've got a couple commercials, but I never ask for anything. And I'm like, I'm here to support you guys because I literally think that everyone should go get this and go get the Vietnam Combat. Go to robinbartlettauthor.com. Go watch the videos. I can sit here and just play all your videos all day long and we never have an interview. But you have a very soothing voice and you have one of those faces that was made for the internet and podcasting and stuff like that. And so again, thank you for coming on.
My pleasure.
I have a couple more questions. I do have a couple. I literally did some research. I normally like when Mikey was here, when my co-partner was here, I kind of winged it because he's the better interviewer. And so I'm doing my diligence, right? So you said 90% of the people, 90% of the veterans that you served were drafted. Can you just go back to like that feeling of, like we know people tried to get out of it and did whatever they did, but what was that feeling and I'm sure you weren't drafted because you signed up for, right? Or were you drafted?
Yes,
or
no,
were-
I volunteered.
Yeah, so
go through the ROTC program as a voluntary
yeah,
program.
so you went through. I knew you went through RTC, and that's why I didn't mean that you got drafted, but I'm sure you made friends that were drafted. What was that mentality like? What were they thinking?
Well, again, there was kind of a differentiation between those had gone through college because you could get deferments, and there was like a series of deferments that you could
Yeah.
continue to avoid being drafted. The first one was to go to graduate school. The second one was to get married, and the third one was to have a kid. So if you just followed that progression, you could avoid, in all likelihood, you could avoid being drafted.
Wow.
And many of
Nana.
the college educated people did in fact follow that process.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
again, it was the height of the war. So McNamara and Westmoreland and Johnson and Nixon wanted more troops. This was a major push. There were 550,000 American soldiers in Vietnam in 68, 69, right after the Tet Offensive. And the idea was we would have so many American troops that we would just completely decimate the North Vietnamese army.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out that way.
So you've mentioned Tet, and for people that don't know what that means, what's the Tet Offensive? You've mentioned that twice now.
Tet Offensive was when when the Viet Cong, which are the guerrillas in South Vietnam, and the North Vietnamese attacked 200 cities within South Vietnam in a very unified, coordinated attack. And this was right after Westmoreland had told the American public that we were winning the war. And it caught us. It was the Tet Offensive. The Tet is actually their New Year's. It occurred right after Christmas, right after the first of the year. This is their holiday period. And more than 60% of the ARVNs, that's the South Vietnamese army, had gone home to celebrate the holiday. And that it was like
in the middle of
like Pearl Harbor, that's
Yeah.
when they attacked. It was
Wow.
a very intelligent move on their part.
Wow. Nana, yeah. So we'll definitely get. So if people want to go and get the autographed copy of their book, where do you think they should need to go to get that?
www.robinbartlettauthor.com.
Look at that. Right there. RobinBartlettauthor.com. Go check that out, Nana. There'll be a Nana Penny sighting over there. That's my mom. Great supporter. Oh, yeah. So my Uncle Mike. Yeah. Yeah. And the fact that you can sit here and write a book and do, I mean, you've been on a bunch of different shows, and I know you've had, do you even know how many interviews you've had so far?
Reviews or how many shows I've been on?
How many shows that you've been on?
About 25, maybe.
Oh, nice. Okay. Some people can get on and talk about what they went through, and some can't. Mike, my buddy Mike, his dad was in Vietnam and didn't say a lick to him, but confided in Mike's younger son, who they became buddies, right? So they talked about that. Uncle Mike.
Originally, I wrote the book as a catharsis. I thought that by writing this series of stories, it would help me to address some of the challenges that I had in Vietnam.
Right.
And this is not a memoir per se. Each chapter is kind of an independent story, so you can actually jump around, and there's no chronology to the book itself. It's a whole series of events, unusual events that happened to me.
Yeah.
But what I found in writing is that it was not a catharsis. It brought back all that same bad stuff. However, talking about it on podcasts and in face-to-face presentations, that's been beneficial to me, and that has helped kind of soften the edges of some of those events that happened to me. Some of them were horrific, and some are pretty funny.
Yeah. We're coming up on the 55 years. 55 years. That is just, that's, I mean, it's one of those things.
I made a presentation. My son is the director of residence life at St. John's University, and he's also teaching a class there. And he brought me in to make a presentation because he was talking about the Vietnam War, and these were 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. They had no knowledge whatsoever of the Vietnam War. Nothing. No.
And that's I think that's what I kind of was trying to get at. It was, we want to keep these stories alive, good and bad. And you said as you were writing it, the feelings flooded back. And it's not that we want you to feel that again. We want you to keep the stories, because 55 years. I mean, when I'm asking questions, I don't know much, right? But I'll tell you what, like, I feel connected. I feel like when I read that book, like, I feel like I'm in that, right? And I appreciate you being candid on some of this stuff. And I have another question for you. So 1st Cavalry Division, 1st Lieutenant at 22 years old. You're sitting there, like, what's going through your head? What are you like? Are we in over our heads here? Are we like, you had said the WTF quit? Like, what are they doing? Like how did you approach that?
So the best insurance policy that any officer could have was Ranger School. And Ranger School took you to the point of total exhaustion, both mental and physical and psychological exhaustion, and hunger, by the way, because I lost about 25 pounds in Ranger School.
Wow.
If you didn't meet your objective, you didn't get any food.
Oh, geez.
So that was the best training. And when you reach that point, that's when they put you in charge of the patrol. And that was the best training that I had to get me through that. And never once in Vietnam did I feel that I was inadequate to the task. Now, was I afraid? Absolutely.
Yeah.
When those bullets start to fly overhead, you hit the ground and you start to pray. But as the leader of the unit, everyone is looking to you. All of those men are looking to you for direction, for orders. And rightly or wrongly, they want you to make a decision. And sometimes that meant putting men in harm's way.
Yeah.
But that was the job of the leader, to get up off the ground. And actually, John Wayne, who never was in the military, he said it best. Courage is being scared to death and saddling up anyway. And that's what the leader had to do. That's what I had to do. Sometimes,
if you want to read a free chapter, well, yeah, and that's, it's funny, we're listening to an actor who gives us that simple, basic thought, right? But yet, I mean, it is John Wayne, but the stories that you get to tell and that you've brought back, they resonate across the board. And again, if I'm hoping we can get some book sales for you. I'm hoping that somebody sits around tonight and is like, man, the stories that they tell are just something that we need to keep alive. And I know I'm kind of, trying to cement that statement. If you want to read a free chapter, if you want to read, sorry, I brain
blogs. There's several blogs. Yeah.
Yeah. You can actually go to robinbartlettauthor.com, click on book. It's going to pop up for your full name and your email. You can read a free chapter. You're going to get through the first part of it, people, and want to buy it. So again, if you go, it's 288 pages. For the Marines, there's color pictures. So you can take, I know I only harp on them because they're just such good dudes, and there's like 4 or 5 there. Again, he's giving you the discount. He's giving you a discount. Plus, you're gonna get his autograph. I was just super excited.
And free shipping.
You can't beat that, man. When it's one of those things where my wife gets the coupon in the mail and like, well, I have free money. Like, I have this coupon. Like, I have that. They're making me go buy it. But hey, people, go check this out, because I know that yeah. See, neat color pictures and less words are better. I know. Love you, buddy. Love you, buddy. Again, Tim was saying I was going to ask what the source of his resilience was in his grade. Yeah, absolutely. The hey, Nick, Dan, what's up? This is where you feel old, because I hate to say that I coached Nick back in high school, but yet we were only a couple years apart when we graduated. So I've got to watch a lot of kids grow up, and Nick's got a good family. He just moved out of California, so good.
So the Marines say Semper Fi, but Army says Rangers lead the way.
The Rangers lead, and what's funny is I hear that quite often. I have a couple of SEALs that I work with, and which it's funny because the SEALs will always tell you that they're a Navy SEAL. It's so funny.
Well,
it's
I'll
so
tell you,
funny.
we had two Navy Ranger SEALs, two SEALs in our Ranger unit, and they were so tough. I tell you, they could outrun us. They were far superior. I mean, the majority of the men who were going through that school were officers, but these two were enlisted men, and they were far superior. And their training course, I've got to admit, is far superior to anything in any of the branches.
I'll let you two battle this out here.
Yeah,
okay?
right.
I'll let you and Brian again. Brian, hey, I'm gonna send you his email and his phone number, and you guys get together, and it's another good one. Brian does the Every Day is a Saturday podcast. Great job. He's down in Southern California. And like I said, he came up, visited me, and it was fun. We had a good time. And that's what we are. That's what we do. We support everybody. We're not in competition with anyone. If I make $1 million, I'm going to spread all the money to everybody else anyways. So there's that. I know that we had a little time restraint. So I'm going to ask you a question. When you're relaxing at home and you're relaxed and you're chill and maybe have a drink, what's the drink of choice for Robin?
Bourbon.
Neat. Any specific? Neat. Okay. All right.
I like what is it? Evan Marshall. Evan.
Okay.
And not Marshall. Evan. I can't think of it.
Oh, I know what you're saying, and I can't think of it. Don't worry, the comment guys will come up. I got a couple bourbonites in here. So yeah. Foggy Day 16. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you coming on. We need a part 2. I can already tell you that. We need a part 2. Yeah, absolutely. Tim, you got the last comment, so congratulations. You get nothing and you'll like it. But thank you. Robin Bartlett, author.com. Go check it out. People, listen, Christmas is coming up. Go buy the book. You're getting a heck of a deal. Go check it out. You're getting $18 off. You're getting free shipping. You're getting an autograph, which if I go to one of your houses, I'm going to steal it, because unless we meet up somewhere, I'm going to have to buy me another book and send this one to the National Library Museum of Military Support. How about that? We just made up a library. Robin, thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
I'm going to put you in the back for a second, but don't go nowhere.
Okay.
All right. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining the show. Thanks for joining. Hey, I appreciate you guys joining. I know it's a little bit earlier than normal, but hey, why not mix it up a bit? Again, wanted to go and get Robin Bartlett on. Great story. Vietnam vets, we don't say enough. It's a great website. Go check him out. Brian, love you too, buddy. Appreciate you guys. Nick, thanks for joining. That's awesome. Man of Penny, absolutely. I lied. Everyone else got the last comment. Sorry. But Tim, I didn't lie to you, buddy. You got the last one. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your support. Remember, go do something nice for somebody. And guess what? Peace.